The house smelled like fresh paint and broken promises. I stood in what Rebecca called our new beginning, a sprawling colonial in Millbrook, Maine, population 12,000 and dropping. The kind of town where everyone knew your business before you did, where the local bar served as both confessional and courthouse, and where my wife refused to live. "It's temporary, Brian," she'd said 3 months ago, her manicured nails tapping against her wine glass. "You go ahead. Get settled. I'll wrap things up in Boston and join you." Temporary. Right. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Brian Hanlon, 38 years old, project manager for TechCore Industries. After 15 years of busting my ass in cramped apartments and entry-level positions, I'd finally landed the big one, a 6-figure salary managing their new data center campus outside Millbrook, the kind of job that should have meant celebration dinners and champagne toasts. Instead, I got an empty house and a wife who couldn't be bothered to answer my calls. The rain hammered against the windows as I wandered through rooms that echoed with my footsteps. Rebecca had insisted on this place. Investment potential, she'd called it. Never mind that she'd never seen it in person. Never mind that I'd moved our entire life here alone while she stayed behind in our Boston condo, allegedly finishing up her marketing projects. I should have known then, but hindsight's a bastard like that. It was the basement that changed everything. I'd been avoiding it. Damp, musty, filled with the previous owner's junk. But that night, with thunder rolling across the Maine hills and nothing but bourbon keeping me company, I decided to explore. Behind a stack of paint cans, I found a cardboard box. Not the previous owner's. This one had Rebecca's handwriting on it. "Winter clothes," the label read. Funny. Rebecca hated the cold. Inside, beneath a thin layer of sweaters that still had tags on them, I found the burner phone. My hands shook as I powered it on. The battery was nearly dead, but there was enough juice to see the message history. Dozens of texts, all to one number, all from the past 6 months. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Brian's working late again. The idiot. He actually bought the Maine story. God, he's so trusting, it's pathetic. The motel on Route 9. Same time. Where would I like?" My vision blurred. The bourbon in my stomach turned to acid. I scrolled further, my breath coming in short gasps. The messages got worse, explicit, mocking, planning their meetings in my own house while I was at the office, planning their future after she took him for everything. Then I saw the photos. Rebecca, my wife of 7 years, in our bed, with him. The phone buzzed in my hand, making me jump. A new message, just delivered. "Video from Kelsey. Check this out." I didn't recognize the number, but I knew Kelsey, Rebecca's best friend, the influencer who documented every moment of her life for her 100,000 Instagram followers. I'd always found her annoying but harmless. The video loaded slowly, buffering in the basement's weak signal. When it finally played, I had to watch it twice to believe what I was seeing. My living room, my couch, Rebecca, straddling some gym rat pretty boy, her hands in his hair, his hands everywhere else. Kelsey's voice in the background. "You guys are so hot together. This is definitely going in my private story." The pretty boy's face came into focus as he pulled back to laugh at something Rebecca said. I knew him. Jace McMillan, sales manager at Rebecca's company. The guy she'd mentioned exactly once, dismissively, as that meathead who thinks he's God's gift. Apparently, she'd changed her assessment. The video ended with Kelsey's laugh and Rebecca's voice. "Delete that before you accidentally send it to Brian." Too late for that, Kelsey. I sat on the basement floor for an hour, maybe 2. The phone died in my hands. The rain kept falling. And somewhere between the 3rd and 4th bourbon, the shock burned away, leaving something colder behind. Revenge is a dish best served cold, they say. But they never mention how long it takes to prepare. I stood up. pocketed the burner phone, and climbed the stairs. My reflection in the hallway mirror showed a different man than the one who'd descended an hour ago. Same face, same tired eyes, but something fundamental had shifted. Rebecca wanted to play games? Fine, but she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I'd spent 15 years clawing my way up from nothing. I'd learned to be patient, to plan, to wait for the perfect moment. And in a small town like Millbrook, where everyone knew everyone and gossip spread faster than wildfire, I had home field advantage. My phone, my real phone, buzzed. A text from Rebecca. "Working late again. Don't wait up. Love you." I typed back, "No problem. Love you too." Then I opened my laptop and started making lists. Frankie Delacroix found me 3 days later, nursing a beer at the Stagger Inn. "You look like hell, Hanlon," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "And I've seen actual hell. Afghanistan, 2009. Frankie was Tech Corps' head of security, ex-cop, ex-military, and the closest thing I had to a friend in Millbrook. We'd bonded over our shared appreciation for dark humor and darker coffee during my first week on the job. "Just adjusting to small-town life," I said, taking a long pull from my bottle. "It's very quaint." "Quaint," Frankie snorted. "That's one word for it. I prefer nosy as hell. You can't take a piss in this town without 3 people asking about your prostate." The Stagger Inn was exactly what you'd expect from a Maine dive bar. Dark wood, darker corners, and a jukebox that hadn't been updated since 1987. But it was also the beating heart of Millbrook's social scene. If you wanted to know anything about anyone, you came here, which was exactly why I'd become a regular. "Speaking of nosy," Frankie continued, "Rita wants to know if you're eating enough. She says you've lost weight." Rita Mendoza owned the Stagger Inn. She was also my ex-girlfriend from college. A brief, intense relationship that had ended amicably when we'd realized we made better friends than lovers. When I'd mentioned moving to Millbrook, she'd been thrilled. Finally, someone I can actually talk to in this town. She emerged from behind the bar now, carrying 2 plates of loaded nachos. "You're both too skinny," she announced, setting them down. "Eat." Rita was 50 pounds heavier than her college days and infinitely more confident. She wore her gray-streaked hair in a long braid and had the kind of no-nonsense attitude that made drunk loggers think twice about causing trouble. "How's Rebecca settling in?" she asked, sliding into the booth next to Frankie. I'd been expecting this question. In a small town, a man living alone while his wife stayed in the city was prime gossip material. "She's still wrapping things up in Boston," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Should be here soon." Rita's eyes narrowed slightly. She'd always been able to read me. "Uh-huh," she said. "And how's that working out for you?" Before I could answer, the door opened and a blast of cold air announced new arrivals. 3 women, mid-30s, dressed for a night out. They spotted me immediately, and their conversation dropped to whispers. "That's him," one of them hissed, not quite quietly enough. "The Tech Corps guy. I heard his wife refuses to move here. Can you blame her?" "I heard she's cheating on him," another added. "My cousin works at the same company in Boston. She says everyone knows." The third woman laughed. "Small-town life not good enough for her? He should dump her ass." Rita's hand shot up. "Ladies, either order drinks or take your gossip elsewhere." They scurried to the bar, still whispering. Frankie leaned forward. "Please tell me you're not just going to take that." I met his eyes. "Take what?" "Don't play dumb. Half the town knows something's up with your marriage. The other half is making up stories to fill in the blanks." He paused. "So, what's the real story?" I considered lying, considered keeping up the facade of the patient, understanding husband. But I was tired of pretending, and I needed allies. "She's cheating," I said simply. "Has been for months. I found proof." Rita's hand flew to her mouth. Frankie's expression darkened. That's... Rita started, then stopped. Brian, I'm so sorry. Don't be. I took another drink. I'm not. What are you going to do? Frankie asked. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm going to ruin her. The words hung in the air between us. Rita and Frankie exchanged glances. Okay, Frankie said slowly. I'm listening. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screenshots I'd taken from the burner. Their faces went from shock to disgust to anger as they scrolled through the messages. This Jace guy, Frankie said. You know him? Sales manager at her company. Drives a BMW M4, wears too much cologne, and apparently thinks he's God's gift to women. Classic douchebag, Rita muttered. So what's the plan? I leaned back. That's where you two come in. Rita, you know everyone in this town. Every secret, every connection, every piece of dirt worth knowing, and Frankie, you've got access to TechCore's security systems, cameras, records, everything. You want us to help you spy on your wife, Rita said. I want you to help me gather evidence, everything I need to make sure that when this is over, she can't touch me legally, financially, or socially. I paused, and I want to make sure everyone knows exactly what she did. Frankie grinned. Now we're talking. What do you need? First, I need to know when she's coming to visit. She hasn't told me yet, but I know she will. She'll want to keep up appearances. When she does, I need cameras. Hidden, recording everything. I can do that, Frankie said. TechCore uses the best surveillance equipment. I'll borrow a few units for a security audit. Second, I need financial protection. I've already moved money from our joint account into one she doesn't know about. But I need to document everything, every expense, every withdrawal, every dollar she spent on her affair. Rita nodded. I've got a lawyer friend in Portland. Specializes in divorce cases. I'll get you a consultation. Third, I continued, I need information on Jace. Where he lives, where he goes, what he drives, everything. That's the fun part, Frankie said. Leave it to me. We spent the next hour planning. Rita knew a private investigator who owed her a favor. Frankie had connections with local police who could access records without raising flags, and I had something they didn't: patience and a willingness to wait for the perfect moment. One question, Rita said as we wrapped up. Why not just divorce her quietly? Take the evidence to a lawyer, get it done, move on? I thought about the messages, about Rebecca's laugh in that video, about the way she'd mocked me, called me an idiot, planned to take everything I'd worked for. Because quiet doesn't teach lessons, I said, and I want her to learn. Rebecca came to Millbrook 2 weeks later. Surprise, she sang into the phone, her voice dripping with false enthusiasm. I'm coming up this weekend. I miss you so much, baby. We need quality time together. I'll bet you do, I thought, probably running low on money now that I'd frozen the joint credit cards. That's great, honey, I said, injecting warmth into my voice. I can't wait to see you. The lie tasted bitter, but necessary. Frankie had installed the cameras the night before, tiny, high-definition units hidden in smoke detectors, picture frames, even the bedroom lamp. Military grade, he'd assured me. She'll never spot them. I'd also taken precautions with the house itself, locked my office, hidden important documents, changed passwords on my computer. I wasn't taking any chances. Rebecca arrived Friday evening in her leased Mercedes, looking like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Designer jeans, cashmere sweater, sunglasses that cost more than most people's monthly rent. She'd always been beautiful. That's what had attracted me in the first place. But now I saw the beauty for what it was, a carefully maintained facade hiding something rotten underneath. Brian! She threw her arms around me and I forced myself not to recoil. God, I've missed you. Missed you too, I said, returning the embrace. How was the drive? Long, boring, but worth it to see you. She pulled back, studying the house. Wow, it's... bigger than I expected. Wait until you see the inside. I gave her the tour, watching her reaction carefully. She made all the right noises. Oh, this is lovely! And what a great space. But I could see the calculation in her eyes. She was pricing everything, planning how to divide it in the divorce she thought I didn't know was coming. We had dinner at the Stagger Inn. Rita greeted us with a warm smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. You must be Rebecca. Brian's told me so much about you. All good things, I hope, Rebecca said, her smile equally fake. Of course, he's clearly devoted to you. The subtext was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Rebecca, oblivious, ordered the most expensive item on the menu and proceeded to complain about it. Is this organic? She asked, poking at her salmon. It doesn't taste organic. It's fresh, Rita said flatly. Caught this morning. Rebecca pushed it around her plate. I'm so used to the restaurants in Boston. Everything here is so rustic. I saw Rita's jaw tighten, saw the other patrons glancing our way. Small-town folks didn't take kindly to outsiders insulting their way of life. Perfect. Back at the house, Rebecca wanted to reconnect. I pleaded exhaustion from work, and she pouted but didn't push. Instead, she spent an hour on her phone, texting furiously while I pretended to watch TV. I knew who she was texting. The cameras would confirm it. Saturday, she wanted to explore the town. We walked Main Street, Rebecca's heels clicking on the sidewalk, her nose wrinkled at the small shops and modest houses. God, Brian, how do you stand it here? She asked. It's so provincial. It's peaceful, I said, and the job pays well. Still, you could have negotiated remote work. We could have stayed in Boston. You mean you could have stayed in Boston? She had the grace to look embarrassed. I didn't mean it like that. Sure. We ran into Mr. Tisdale outside the hardware store. He was 70-something, my next-door neighbor, and the nosiest man in Millbrook. Perfect for my purposes. Brian, and this must be the famous wife. He pumped Rebecca's hand enthusiastically. Welcome, welcome. We've all been so curious about you. Rebecca's smile was strained. Thank you. It's charming here. Oh, we like to think so. Say, Brian, I hope my grandson's music hasn't been bothering you. He practices his drums in the garage, right next to your bedroom wall, I think. I hadn't heard any drums. Mr. Tisdale's grandson lived in California. No problem at all, I said, catching on. I'm a heavy sleeper. Good, good. Well, you two enjoy your weekend. I'm sure you have a lot of catching up to do. He winked, not subtly. Rebecca couldn't get away fast enough. What a strange old man. He's harmless, I said. Just friendly. What I didn't mention. Mr. Tisdale had installed a baby monitor in his garage 6 months ago to listen for intruders. The monitor picked up sounds from my bedroom, and Mr. Tisdale, bless him, had already offered to share any concerning noises with me. Small towns. You had to love them. That night, Rebecca finally showed her hand. Brian, she said over dinner. Take out, because she'd refused to cook, and I'd pretended I couldn't. We need to talk about our future. Here it comes, I thought. I've been thinking, she continued. About us. About whether this is really working. What do you mean? She sighed, a practiced sound of regret. You're here. I'm in Boston. We barely see each other. Maybe we need to consider whether we're still compatible. Are you asking for a divorce? No. God, no. I'm just... She reached across the table, taking my hand. Her touch made my skin crawl. I'm saying maybe we need some space to figure things out. Space. I let the word hang there. Like the space you've had for the past 3 months? That's not fair, isn't it? You haven't visited once until now. You barely return my calls, and when we do talk, you can't wait to get off the phone. I've been busy with work. Right, work. I pulled my hand back. Tell me, How is Jace doing? I watched the color drain from her face, watched her scramble for composure. Jace? You mean from my office? I barely know him. Really? Because you mentioned him a few times. Said he was annoying. He is annoying. She laughed, too loud. Why are you asking about him? No reason, just making conversation. She didn't bring up separation again that night. Instead, she went to bed early, claiming a headache. I heard her on the phone in the bedroom, her voice low and urgent. The cameras were recording everything. Sunday morning, she couldn't leave fast enough. I forgot I have a meeting tomorrow, she said, throwing clothes into her suitcase. I need to get back and prepare. Of course, I understand. I'll visit again soon. I promise. Another lie. We were getting good at those. I walked her to her car, kissed her goodbye, and watched her drive away. Then I went inside, pulled up the camera feeds on my laptop, and started watching. The footage was damning. Rebecca on her phone, texting Jace. He's so pathetic. Just sits there like a puppy waiting for scraps. God, I can't wait to be done with this. Rebecca in the bedroom, video calling someone. No, he doesn't suspect anything. He's too stupid. We just need to wait until I can get a lawyer and clean him out. Rebecca going through my office, trying the locked door, cursing when she couldn't get in. I saved everything, backed it up in 3 different locations. Then I called Frankie. How'd it go? He asked. Perfect. She played right into it. What's next? I smiled at my reflection in the computer screen. Now, we take the gloves off. Jace McMillan drove a BMW M4 in Alpine white, with custom rims and a vanity plate that read Closar, because apparently he thought he was clever. I found this out from Frankie, who'd run his plates through a contact at the DMV. I also learned that Jace had 2 DUIs, a suspended license from 2019, and a restraining order from an ex-girlfriend. Real winner, my wife had picked. Guy's a piece of work, Frankie said, showing me the file. Multiple complaints at his company for sexual harassment. Never stuck because daddy's on the board of directors. Rich kid playing at being a salesman, I said. Basically. Lives in a condo downtown Boston, pays $4,000 a month, and according to his social media, spends every weekend at the gym or the club. Social media? Frankie pulled up Instagram on his phone. Jace's profile was public, because of course it was. Shirtless gym selfies, bottles of expensive liquor, pictures with different women draped over him. And there, buried in the recent posts, a photo of a woman's hand wearing a ring I recognized. Rebecca's engagement ring, the one I'd saved for 6 months to buy. The caption, "Good things come to those who wait." My hands clenched into fists. Easy, Frankie said. Remember the plan, slow and steady. He was right. I couldn't let anger make me sloppy. I need to hit him where it hurts, I said. His car? His car. We drove to Boston the following Saturday. Frankie had gotten Jace's address from his company directory. Amazing what you could access when you knew the right people. The condo building had parking underneath, but Jace's BMW was parked on the street. Showing off, probably. You sure about this? Frankie asked. I thought about Rebecca's messages, about Jace's smug face in those photos, about the way they'd laughed at me, called me stupid, planned to ruin me. I'm sure. We waited until 3 a.m. The street was empty, cameras pointing the wrong way. Frankie kept watch while I worked. Sugar in the gas tank was too obvious, too traceable. Instead, I used a mixture of bleach and brake fluid in the oil reservoir. It would destroy the engine gradually, making it look like mechanical failure. I slashed 2 tires, not 4, because insurance wouldn't cover vandalism unless all 4 were damaged. And then, because I couldn't resist, I used a key to scratch a message into the driver's side door. Cheater. Simple. Effective. Untraceable. We were back in Millbrook by dawn. 3 days later, Kelsey's Instagram story showed Jace having a meltdown on the street, his BMW on a tow truck, screaming at a mechanic about engine damage. The video had been viewed 50,000 times. Kelsey's caption, "When your karma catches up with you." I watched it on repeat, savoring every second of Jace's rage. But that was just the appetizer. Rebecca called that afternoon, her voice shrill. "Did you do something to Jace's car?" "Who's Jace?" I asked innocently. "Don't play dumb, Brian. Someone vandalized his car and he thinks it was you." "Why would I vandalize a stranger's car? I don't even know where he lives." "He's not a stranger. He's my colleague." "Your colleague?" I let the word drip with sarcasm. "Right. Well, maybe your colleague should park in a garage if he's worried about vandalism. Boston's a dangerous city. This isn't funny. I'm not laughing." She hung up. I poured myself a bourbon and toasted the phone. The next phase required more finesse. I needed to destroy Rebecca's professional reputation without leaving fingerprints. Enter Meera Patel. Meera worked at Rebecca's company. Same department, same level, and according to the office gossip Rita had dug up through her network, Meera hated Rebecca's guts. They'd been competing for a senior marketing position for months, and Rebecca had been winning through a combination of charm, manipulation, and taking credit for other people's work. I'd never met Meera, but I knew her type: ambitious, smart, and tired of playing nice. So I sent her an anonymous email. "Thought you should know. Rebecca Hanlon has been conducting an affair with Jace McMillan on company time using company resources. Check the conference room booking logs from the past 6 months. Also, check her expense reports. Lots of client dinners that never happened. Might be worth mentioning to HR before her promotion goes through." I didn't sign it. Didn't need to. 2 days later, Rebecca called again. This time she was crying. "They're investigating me. HR called me in today and started asking about my expense reports and my relationship with Jace." "What? Why?" "I don't know. Someone sent them an anonymous tip. They're accusing me of fraud and workplace misconduct." "That's terrible," I said, voice dripping false sympathy. "Did you do those things?" "That's not the point." "I think that's exactly the point. Brian, I need you to support me right now." "Like you've supported me? By staying in Boston, cheating on me, and planning to divorce me and take everything I've worked for?" Silence. Long, heavy silence. "I don't know what you're talking about," she finally said, her voice cold. "Sure you don't. Good luck with HR, Rebecca. I'm sure they'll be very understanding." I hung up before she could respond. Frankie called an hour later, laughing so hard he could barely speak. "Dude, Meera just posted on LinkedIn about her promotion to senior marketing manager. She thanked the company for recognizing integrity and hard work." Rebecca didn't get it. Rebecca got fired. Well, technically she resigned, but everyone knows what that means. Meera's post has 300 likes and counting. The comments are brutal. I pulled up LinkedIn. Sure enough, Meera's post was there, professional and polished. But the comments: "About time someone who actually works got promoted instead of someone who works the system. Heard the previous candidate had some ethical issues. Good riddance. Congrats, Meera, you deserve this." Rebecca's profile still listed her position at the company, but I knew it wouldn't for long. "Phase 2 complete," I told Frankie. "What's phase 3? I smiled. "Public humiliation." Millbrook's Fall Festival was the social event of the season. 3 days of carnival rides, craft booths, local bands, and enough fried food to clog every artery in Maine. The whole town turned out, along with folks from neighboring communities. It was also the perfect place to destroy someone's reputation. Rebecca had been calling non-stop since her resignation. I'd been letting it go to voicemail, but I finally answered 2 days before the festival. "Brian, please, we need to talk." "About what?" "About us. About everything. I made mistakes, okay? I admit it. But we can work through this." "Work through what exactly? Your affair? Your plan to divorce me and take my money? Your fraud at work?" I never meant to hurt you. Just to use me. That's not... She sighed. Can we please meet? Face to face? I'll come to Millbrook. We can talk like adults. This was too easy. She was desperate, cornered, and making mistakes. Fine. Come to the fall festival on Saturday. We'll talk. The festival? Why there? Because it's public, neutral ground, and because I'm volunteering at the Tech Corps booth. I can take a break. She didn't like it, but she agreed. I could hear the calculation in her voice. She was planning something. Probably some kind of scene where she played the victim and I looked like the bad guy. Too bad I was planning something bigger. Kelsey was the key. She'd been posting less about Rebecca lately, probably sensing the shift in social winds. But she was still documenting everything for her followers, still chasing views and likes. I created a fake Instagram account and sent her a message. Hey, love your content. I'm organizing a surprise video montage for the fall festival, local couples sharing their stories. Would you be willing to contribute some footage? There's a $500 honorarium for participants. Kelsey responded within minutes. OMG, yes. What kind of footage? Anything romantic or fun? Couples being cute, date nights, that kind of thing? We're going to project it on the big screen during the festival. Very wholesome. I have so much content. Sending now. She sent me a Dropbox link with hundreds of videos. Most were useless. Her and her boyfriend, random friends, party footage. But buried in there, I found gold. The video of Rebecca and Jace, the one Kelsey had accidentally sent me. Plus 3 more I hadn't seen. Rebecca and Jace at a bar, making out. Rebecca and Jace in a car, his hand up her shirt. Rebecca and Jace at what looked like a hotel, stumbling drunk into a room. All time-stamped, all clearly showing their faces. Perfect. Frankie helped me edit the footage into a 3-minute compilation. We added timestamps, location tags, and a title card. When love goes wrong, a cautionary tale. This is nuclear, Frankie said, watching the final product. You sure you want to do this? She wanted to destroy me quietly, I said. I'm returning the favor loudly. Saturday dawned clear and cold. The festival grounds were packed by noon. Families, couples, teenagers, everyone in town. The Tech Corps booth was near the main stage, where local bands played and announcements were made. Above the stage hung a massive screen for displaying sponsor messages and event information. I'd volunteered to help with the AV equipment. Funny how easy it was to access when you were helping set up. Rebecca arrived at 2, looking nervous. She'd dressed carefully, jeans and a sweater, trying to blend in with the small-town crowd. It didn't work. She still looked like a city girl playing dress-up. Brian. She approached the booth, her smile uncertain. Thanks for meeting me. Let's walk, I said, stepping out from behind the table. We moved through the crowd, past screaming kids and cotton candy vendors. Rebecca kept trying to take my hand. I kept pulling away. I've been doing a lot of thinking, she said. About us. About what I want. And what do you want? I want to fix this. I know I screwed up. The thing with Jace, it was a mistake. A stupid, meaningless mistake. Months of mistakes, I said. Dozens of texts. Multiple videos. That's not a mistake, Rebecca. That's a choice. She stopped walking. How did you... You've been spying on me. You left a burner phone in our basement, not very smart. Her face went white. You had no right. I had every right. You're my wife. Or were. I'm filing for divorce on Monday. You can't. I'll fight it. I'll take everything. With what? You're unemployed. You've been committing fraud. And I have evidence of your affair. Good luck finding a lawyer who'll take that case. People were starting to stare. Rebecca's voice had gotten loud. You bastard, she hissed. You think you're so smart? You're nothing. You've always been nothing. A nobody from nowhere who got lucky with one good job. And yet you married me. What does that say about you? She slapped me. The crack echoed across the festival grounds. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. I didn't move. just looked at her, my cheeks stinging, and smiled. "Thanks for that," I said quietly. "Now everyone here just saw you assault me." Her hand flew to her mouth. "Brian, I didn't mean—" "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer's voice boomed from the stage. "We have a special presentation for you, a video montage celebrating love and relationships in our community." Rebecca's eyes widened. "What did you do?" "Me? Nothing. I'm just a volunteer." The screen flickered to life. The title card appeared. "When Love Goes Wrong, a Cautionary Tale." Then the footage started playing. Rebecca and Jace at the bar, Rebecca and Jace in the car, Rebecca and Jace at the hotel. All in high definition, all clearly visible to the 300 people watching. The crowd's reaction was immediate. Gasps, laughter, pointing, phones coming out to record the screen. Rebecca stood frozen, her face a mask of horror. "Turn it off!" she screamed, running toward the stage. "Turn it off!" But the video kept playing. 3 minutes felt like an eternity. When it finally ended, the silence was deafening. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Then the whole crowd erupted in applause and laughter. Rebecca stood in the middle of it all, tears streaming down her face, while hundreds of people stared and whispered and recorded. I walked back to the TechCore booth, where Frankie was waiting with a beer. "Brutal," he said, handing it to me. "Necessary," I replied. We watched as Rebecca fled the festival grounds, pushing through the crowd, her sobs audible even over the noise. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "That was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Thank you. Mira." I raised my beer to the sky and took a long drink. Phase 3. Complete. Jace showed up in Millbrook 3 days later, driving a rental car and looking for a fight. He found me at the Stagger Inn, sitting at my usual booth. I'd been expecting him. Men like Jace were predictable. Attack their ego, and they came running. "You son of a bitch." He stormed across the bar, fists clenched. "You think you can humiliate me and get away with it?" I took a sip of my beer. "I didn't humiliate you. Your own actions did that. I just provided the footage." "That was private." "Nothing's private when you're stupid enough to let someone film it." I gestured to the empty seat across from me. "Sit down, Jace. Let's talk like adults." "I'm not sitting anywhere with you." His face was red, veins bulging in his neck. "You ruined my relationship. Rebecca won't even talk to me now." "Probably because she blames you for getting caught. That's what cheaters do. They blame everyone but themselves." He lunged across the table. I'd been ready for it, leaning back just enough that his fist missed my face and connected with the wooden booth behind me. He howled in pain. Frankie appeared from nowhere, grabbing Jace by the collar and hauling him back. "We don't start fights in here," Frankie said calmly. "We finish them outside. Let me go." "Sure thing." Frankie dragged him toward the door. "Brian, you coming?" I followed them into the parking lot where a small crowd had gathered. Word traveled fast in Millbrook. Frankie released Jace, who stumbled and nearly fell. His hand was already swelling from where he'd hit the booth. "Here's how this works," I said, circling him slowly. "You can take a swing at me. Maybe you'll land it, maybe you won't. But either way, there are 20 witnesses here who saw you attack me first. So when the cops show up, and they will, you'll be the one in handcuffs. I don't care. You destroyed my life. No, you destroyed your own life when you decided to sleep with a married woman. I just made sure everyone knew about it." He charged again. This time, I didn't dodge. I let him tackle me, both of us going down hard on the gravel. He got in one punch, a solid hit to my ribs that knocked the wind out of me, before Frankie and 2 other guys pulled him off. "That's enough." Frankie had Jace in a headlock. "You want to press charges, Brian?" I stood up, brushing gravel from my jacket. My ribs ached, but nothing was broken. "No," I said. "Let him go." "What?" Jace looked confused. I said let him go. He's not worth it. I looked at him, this pathetic man-child who thought he could steal another man's wife and face no consequences. "Go back to Boston, Jace. There's nothing for you here. This isn't over, he spat. Yeah, it is. Frankie released him. Jace stood there for a moment, breathing hard, then stumbled to his rental car and drove off. The crowd dispersed, muttering. Rita came out with an ice pack. You okay? She asked. Fine, he hits like a toddler. She laughed. You're crazier than I thought. Maybe. But I'm winning. That night, Rebecca called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Jace attacked you, she said without preamble. I heard. News travels fast. Are you okay? Why do you care? Silence. Then, because despite everything, I don't want you hurt. Little late for that. Brian, her voice cracked. I'm sorry, for all of it. I was selfish and stupid and cruel. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know I'm sorry. It was the first genuine emotion I'd heard from her in months. For a moment, I almost felt something. Pity, maybe, or the ghost of what I'd once felt for her. Then I remembered the messages, the videos, the way she'd laughed at me. Apology noted, I said. But it doesn't change anything. The divorce papers will be served next week. Don't contest it. You'll lose. I know. She sounded defeated. Can we at least meet one more time, to say goodbye properly? Why? Because we were married for 7 years. Because we meant something to each other once. Because I owe you that much. I thought about it. Thought about the plan I'd been forming. The final piece that would complete everything. Fine. The Riverside Motel, Friday night. Room 12, come alone. Why there? Because it's where you and Jace used to meet. Seems fitting, don't you think? She gasped. How did you? I know everything, Rebecca. I've known for months. Friday night, 8 o'clock. Be there or don't, your choice. I hung up before she could respond. Frankie looked at me skeptically when I told him the plan. You're really going to meet her at the motel? That's where you're ending this? That's where she betrayed me. That's where it ends. And you're sure she'll come? She'll come. She can't resist one last chance to manipulate me. What if she brings Jace? She won't. He's done with her. I made sure of that. Friday arrived cold and rainy. The Riverside Motel was exactly as depressing as I'd imagined. Peeling paint, flickering neon sign, the smell of mildew and regret. I'd rented room 12 that morning, paying cash. Frankie had helped me set up. More cameras, hidden in the lamp and the smoke detector. Audio recorders taped under the table. Everything we needed to document whatever happened. Last chance to back out, Frankie said. I'm not backing out. What are you hoping for? A confession? An apology? Justice, I said simply. Rebecca arrived at 8:15, 15 minutes late, because even now she couldn't help being dramatic. She looked terrible. No makeup, hair pulled back, wearing jeans and an old sweater I recognized from college. She looked like the girl I'd married before ambition and vanity had twisted her into someone else. You came, I said, opening the door. You knew I would. She stepped inside, looking around the dingy room. God, this place is awful. You seemed to like it well enough before. She flinched. Can we not do this? Can we just talk? That's why we're here. We sat on opposite beds, the space between us feeling like miles. I meant what I said, Rebecca started. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I need you to believe me. Why should I? Because it's true. I was angry at you for taking this job, for moving us to this town I hate, for being happy when I was miserable. So I lashed out in the worst way possible. By sleeping with Jace. By sleeping with Jace, she agreed, and by planning to leave you and take everything. I was cruel and vindictive and wrong. Yes, you were. But you were cruel too. She looked up, and there was anger in her eyes now. You could have just divorced me quietly. Instead, you humiliated me in front of the entire town. You destroyed my career. You turned everyone against me. I gave you exactly what you planned to give me. I never planned to humiliate you publicly. No, you just planned to do it privately. To make me the pathetic husband who couldn't keep his wife satisfied. To take my money and laugh about it with your friends. I leaned forward. At least I had the guts to face you head on. She stood up, pacing. So what now? You've won. I'm unemployed, broke, alone. Everyone thinks I'm a terrible person. What more do you want? I want you to understand what you did. Not just to me, but to us. To 7 years of marriage. To every promise you made. I understand. God, Brian, I understand. I destroyed everything good in my life because I was selfish and stupid. Is that what you want to hear? It's a start. She sank back onto the bed, her face in her hands. I can't stay in Boston. Everyone knows. My parents won't even talk to me. I don't know what to do. For a moment, I felt that pity again. But then I remembered why we were here. That's not my problem anymore, I said quietly. You made your choices. Now you live with them. That's it? That's all you have to say? What else is there? She looked at me, really looked at me, and something shifted in her expression. You're enjoying this. You're actually enjoying watching me suffer. No, I said. But I'm not sorry about it either. She stood up, grabbing her purse. I should go. Wait! I pulled out an envelope from my jacket. Divorce papers. Already filed. All you have to do is sign. She took the envelope with shaking hands. You're really doing this. Did you think I wouldn't? I don't know what I thought. She opened the envelope, scanning the papers. You're not asking for anything? I don't want anything that's yours. I just want you gone. She pulled out a pen, signed each page without reading them, and handed the papers back. There, done. Are you happy now? I will be when you're out of my life. She walked to the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I did love you. Once. Once wasn't enough. She left without another word. I watched through the window as she got in her car and drove away, taillights disappearing into the rain. Frankie emerged from the bathroom where he'd been hiding with his own camera. Got everything. Audio's clean too. Good. That's it? She just leaves? That's it. I thought there'd be more. A bigger confrontation. Something. I looked at the divorce papers in my hand, Rebecca's signature still wet. This is the confrontation. Everything else was just foreplay. The divorce was finalized in 6 weeks. Rebecca didn't contest it, didn't ask for alimony, didn't fight for any of our shared assets. She just disappeared. According to Rita's sources, she'd moved to Portland, was working as a receptionist at a dental office, and had deleted all her social media. Jace had been fired from his job after the harassment complaints were reinvestigated. Last anyone heard, he'd moved back in with his parents in Connecticut. I should have felt satisfied. Victorious. I'd won completely, kept my money, my job, my reputation. They'd lost everything. But something was still bothering me. It was Mr. Tisdale who figured it out. He showed up at my door on a Saturday morning, carrying a plate of cookies and wearing a concerned expression. Brian, my boy, we need to talk. I let him in, made coffee, and waited. I've been watching you, he said. Not in a creepy way, mind you. Just neighborly concern, and I'm worried. About what? About you. You won. You got your revenge. But you don't seem happy. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're hollow. You got justice, but you didn't get closure. I wanted to argue, but he was right. The revenge had been satisfying in the moment, but now, I just felt empty. What do you suggest? I asked. Let it go. Really, let it go. Not just the anger, but the need to keep punishing them. They're already punished. They'll be punishing themselves for years. You need to move on. I am moving on. No, you're stuck. Stuck in the anger. Stuck in the betrayal. You need to forgive. I can't forgive what she did. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm asking you to forgive yourself. For what? For not seeing it sooner. For trusting her. For whatever you think you did wrong. He leaned forward. Brian, you were a good husband. She was a bad wife. That's not your fault. But if you keep carrying this anger, it'll poison everything else in your life. I stared at my coffee, his words sinking in. How do I let it go? You start by living, really living. Not just existing in this house, going to work, drinking at Rita's bar. You start building a new life. He was right. I knew he was right. But there was one more thing I needed to do first. I called Kelsey. She answered on the third ring, suspicious. Brian, why are you calling me? I need a favor. After what you did, you humiliated my best friend. Your best friend humiliated herself. I just showed people the truth, but I'm not calling about that. Then what? I want you to take down the videos, all of them. The festival footage, the motel videos, everything related to Rebecca and Jace. Silence. Then, why would I do that? Because it's over. They've been punished enough. And because keeping those videos up makes you look like a vulture feeding on someone else's pain. That's rich, coming from you. I know, but I'm trying to be better. Will you help me? She sighed. Fine, but only because my followers are getting tired of the drama anyway. The algorithm's killing my engagement. Thank you. Brian, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I should have told you what was happening. I knew, and I said nothing. Why didn't you? Because Rebecca was my friend, and because I'm a coward. I'm sorry. Apology accepted. She hung up. Within an hour, all the videos were gone from her social media. Next, I called Mira. Brian, I've been meaning to thank you properly. That tip you sent changed my life. I didn't send any tip, I said carefully. But I'm glad things worked out for you. She laughed. Right. Anonymous. Got it. Well, whoever sent it, I'm grateful. Mira, I need you to do something for me. Name it. Rebecca's going to need a reference eventually. For jobs. When someone calls, don't trash her. Just be neutral. Confirm dates of employment and move on. Are you serious after what she did? I'm serious. She's already lost everything. There's no point in making sure she can never recover. You're a better person than I am. I'm trying to be. Finally, I sat down and wrote a letter. Not to Rebecca. I had nothing left to say to her, but to myself. A letter acknowledging the pain, the anger, the betrayal, acknowledging that I'd been hurt, that I'd wanted revenge, that I'd gotten it, and then letting it go. I burned the letter in the fireplace, watching the paper curl and blacken and turn to ash. It felt like an ending, a real one, not just the legal dissolution of a marriage, but the emotional closure I'd been missing. The next morning, I woke up feeling different, lighter. I went to the Stagger Inn for breakfast. Rita took one look at me and smiled. There you are, she said. What? The real Brian, the one I used to know. Welcome back. Frankie joined me, and we talked about normal things, sports, work, the weather. Not Rebecca, not revenge, just life. You seem better, Frankie observed. I am better. So what's next? I thought about it. About the house that was too big for one person. About the job I was good at but didn't love. About the town I'd moved to for a fresh start that had turned into a battlefield. I think I'm going to stay, I said. Really stay. Not just exist here, but build a life. Make real friends. Maybe even date again, eventually. Good plan. Frankie raised his coffee cup. To new beginnings. To new beginnings, I echoed. We drank, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. 3 months later, everything changed. I'd settled into my new life. I'd joined a local hiking group, started volunteering at the community center, even adopted a dog, a mutt named Charlie who'd been at the shelter for 2 years. Work was going well. I'd gotten a promotion, a raise, and the respect of my team. Life was good, normal, peaceful. Then Jace came back. He showed up at TechCore's main gate on a Tuesday afternoon demanding to see me. Security called, and I told them to let him in. He looked terrible. Thinner, unshaven, wearing clothes that had seen better days. The cocky gym rat persona was gone, replaced by something desperate and dangerous. "We need to talk," he said when Frankie escorted him to my office. "I'll stay," Frankie said, positioning himself by the door. "Fine." Jace collapsed into a chair. "I'm not here to fight." "Then why are you here?" "Because you ruined my life, and I want to know why." I leaned back in my chair. "I didn't ruin your life. You ruined it yourself when you decided to sleep with my wife. She told me you were separated. She said you didn't care. And you believed her? Why wouldn't I? She showed me texts where you ignored her, didn't call her back, didn't seem to care where she was or what she was doing. I felt a chill. What texts? From your phone. Conversations where she'd ask about your day and you'd give one-word answers. Where she'd say she missed you and you'd say, okay. Where she'd try to plan visits and you'd make excuses. Show me. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through screenshots. And there they were. Texts from my number to Rebecca, exactly as he'd described. Cold, dismissive, uncaring, except I'd never sent them. "These are fake," I said. "I never sent these messages." "What?" "Look at the dates. Half of these are from times when I was texting her, having completely different conversations. She faked these. Probably edited screenshots or used some app." Jace stared at the phone, his face going pale. She lied to me? About everything, apparently. She said you were abusive, that you controlled all the money, wouldn't let her work, isolated her from her friends. I never controlled anything. She had her own career, her own money, her own life. I just wasn't part of it. He slumped in the chair. "I'm such an idiot." "Yeah, you are. But so was I. She played both of us. I lost everything because of her. My job, my apartment, my friends. My parents won't even talk to me. Welcome to the club." He looked up, and there were tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry. For all of it. I thought I was helping her escape a bad marriage. I thought I was the good guy. You weren't. But neither was I. I spent months planning revenge instead of just walking away. Did it help? The revenge? I thought about it. About the satisfaction that had faded to emptiness. About the closure I'd only found when I'd let go. Not as much as I thought it would. We sat in silence for a moment. "What are you going to do now?" I asked. "I don't know. I'm staying with a friend in Portland, working construction, trying to rebuild." He stood up. "I just wanted you to know I'm sorry, and to warn you." "Warn me about what?" "Rebecca's not done. She's not stable, Brian. She blames you for everything. She talks about you constantly, about how you destroyed her life. I think she might try something." "Like what?" "I don't know. But be careful." He left, escorted out by Frankie. I sat in my office, staring at those fake text messages, feeling the anger I'd worked so hard to let go of bubbling back up. Rebecca wasn't done. Fine. Neither was I. I called Rita. "I need information. Everything you can find out about Rebecca's current situation. Where she's living, where she's working, who she's talking to." "I thought you were moving on?" "I was. But if she's planning something, I need to know." Rita's sources came through within a day. Rebecca was living in a studio apartment in Portland, working part-time at the dental office. But she'd also been seen at a lawyer's office, not a divorce lawyer, a criminal attorney. "She's planning to file charges," Rita said. "Harassment, maybe stalking. She's claiming you've been threatening her." "I haven't contacted her in 3 months." "I know, but she's got evidence. Screenshots of threatening emails, voicemails, text messages, all from your accounts." "All fake, I'm guessing." "Probably. but fake evidence can still cause real problems. I called my own lawyer, the one Rita had connected me with months ago. He listened to everything, then sighed. This is messy. Even if the evidence is fabricated, defending against false charges is expensive and time-consuming, and it'll drag your name through the mud. So what do? We get ahead of it. File a restraining order against her first, claiming she's harassing you. Document everything, and we prepare for a fight. The restraining order was filed the next day. Rebecca's response was immediate. She filed her own restraining order, along with charges of harassment and emotional abuse. The local news picked up the story. Tech manager and ex-wife in legal battle. My face was plastered across the internet, along with Rebecca's claims that I'd systematically destroyed her life out of spite. The comments were brutal. He seems like a psychopath. She's clearly the victim here. Men like this are why women don't come forward. My boss called me into his office. Brian, we need to talk about this situation. It's all false. She's fabricating evidence. I believe you. But the optics are bad. We're getting calls from clients, questions from the board. Until this is resolved, I'm going to have to put you on administrative leave. You're suspending me? It's temporary, just until the legal issues are cleared up. I'm sorry. I walked out of TechCore in a daze. Everything I'd rebuilt was crumbling again. But this time, I wasn't going to let her win. I called Frankie. I need your help, real help, the kind that might get us both in trouble. I'm listening. Rebecca's fabricating evidence, emails, texts, voicemails, all from my accounts, which means she either hacked them or has access to them. Or she never deleted herself from your accounts in the first place. Can you check? Frankie was back to me in an hour. She's still logged into your email on an old tablet. Been accessing it regularly for months. That's how she's faking the evidence. She's sending emails to herself from your account, then deleting them from your side so you never see them. Can you prove it? I can get timestamps, IP addresses, device information, everything you need to show she's the one doing the harassing. We compiled everything into a file. Evidence of her accessing my accounts, screenshots of the fake messages with metadata showing they'd been created on her devices, even testimony from Jace about her lies. My lawyer took it to the prosecutor. 3 days later, all charges against me were dropped, and new charges were filed against Rebecca: fraud, perjury, harassment, and unauthorized access to computer systems. The news cycle turned. Woman fabricates evidence against ex-husband. Rebecca's face now plastered across the internet. The comments equally brutal. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. The trial was scheduled for 6 months later. But Rebecca never made it that far. 2 weeks before the court date, she disappeared. Left her apartment, quit her job, and vanished without a trace. The police issued a warrant, but no one could find her. Part of me worried she'd come back, try something desperate. But months passed, then a year, and there was no sign of her. Eventually, I stopped looking over my shoulder. TechCore reinstated me with a formal apology and a settlement for the administrative leave. My reputation in Millbrook, which had taken a hit during the accusations, slowly recovered as people learned the truth. I started dating again, nothing serious, just coffee and dinners, with nice women who didn't come with baggage and drama. One of them, Sarah, a teacher at the local high school, became a regular presence in my life. Charlie loved her, which I took as a good sign. Frankie got promoted to director of security. Rita expanded the Stagger Inn, adding a restaurant section that became the most popular spot in town. Life moved on. But I never forgot what Rebecca had tried to do, how close she'd come to destroying everything I'd rebuilt, and I never fully trusted anyone again. 2 years after the divorce, I got a letter. No return address, postmarked from somewhere in Florida. Inside was a single page, handwritten. Brian, I know you'll never forgive me. I don't expect you to, but I need you to understand that I'm sorry. Not for getting caught, but for what I did. For the lies, the cheating, the attempts to destroy you. I was broken, am broken. I don't know how to be a good person. I tried with you at first, but it was never enough. You deserved better. I'm getting help now. Therapy, medication, all of it. I'm trying to be better. I don't know if it's working. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking you to let go of the anger. It's not worth carrying. I know because I carried it for too long, and it poisoned everything. You won. You got your revenge. But you also got a chance at a real life, a happy one. Don't waste it by holding on to the past. Be happy, Brian. You deserve it. R. I read the letter 3 times, then put it in the fireplace and watched it burn. Maybe she meant it. Maybe she was really getting help, really trying to change. Or maybe it was another manipulation, another attempt to get into my head. It didn't matter anymore. I was done with Rebecca, done with revenge, done with anger. I had a good job, good friends, a good dog, and the possibility of a good relationship with Sarah. I had a life, and that was the best revenge of all, living well while Rebecca lived with the consequences of her choices. That evening, Sarah came over for dinner. We cooked together, laughed together, sat on the porch watching the sun set over the Maine hills. "You seem happy," she said, leaning against my shoulder. "I am happy." "Good. You deserve it." I thought about Rebecca's letter, about those same words, but coming from Sarah, they felt different. True. "Thank you," I said, kissing the top of her head. Charlie barked, chasing a squirrel across the yard. The evening air was cool and clean. Inside, dinner was ready, and a bottle of wine was breathing on the counter. This was my life now. Not perfect, not without scars, but mine. Rebecca had tried to take everything from me. In the end, she'd only taken herself, and I'd built something better from the ashes. The hunting season was over. The prey had fled, and the hunter had found something better to do with his life than chase ghosts. I was free. Finally, completely free. And that was worth more than any revenge could ever be.